the king of the universe.
Hello, LS11 universe. It's me, it's that ZRC, the king of the universe. Say my name, and I appear. And welcome back to the August 24th edition of King of the Universe Pro Wrestling Podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music or any of your podcasting apps, please leave a rating and drop a comment. If you're listening on YouTube, shoot us a comment, give us a like, and even a subscribe if you're feeling like it. Thinking about branching out with King of the Universe, thinking about making it more of a multi-time a week thing, doing like reviews following Raw and stuff, and trying to become more like more of a podcaster. I'm not going to quit Universe by any means, not anytime soon. I want to see this stuff out at least through the end of the big magnum opus that is this Bullet Club story. And I've talked about it a little bit, kind of spoilers, I don't think I've ever said it. This Bullet Club story, I will say, is kind of my magnum opus. This is the best story I've ever told. I know the end point of it, and we're not getting to the end point of it for a long time. So, we got plenty to talk about this week. An eventful week in the world of wrestling. AEW Forbidden Door, I think, just ended a moment ago. I didn't watch it because I've been busy, but I pretty much swept predictions for the most part. I didn't completely sweep it, admittedly. I got a couple things wrong, but let's see. Who won the main event? That's the only thing I'm missing out on here. Looks like, let's see. I'm not seeing anything about who won. I'm guessing the Death Riders won. I guess I could look at Wikipedia here. Let's see. But it was a pretty exciting week in wrestling. I actually watched Raw with Hemlock. They stuck in for a little bit. The announcement of Naomi's pregnancy, the vacating of the Raw or the Women's World Title. Heard SmackDown was pretty fun in Ireland this week. Let's see. We just had Wardlow return a little bit. Oh, no. The good guys actually won. All right. I went with the bad guys to win because half the fuckers in the steel cage match were injured on the good guys' side. But I guess not. I'm not terribly upset that the Death Riders lost because, you know, hate the Death Riders. But yeah, to give you how my predictions went, I had picked the Caillou family to win because unfortunately I thought they would, but I was glad. Oh, I didn't realize it was the Crew on their team. I wouldn't have picked them up if I'd known the Crew was on their team. I got GOA winning right. I got Triangle of Madness winning right. I got the Ops winning correct. I got Cope and Christian winning correct. I got Fletcher winning correct. I got Mercedes right. I got ZSJ right. Did not call Brodito winning the tag titles. Very pleasantly surprised by that. We all knew 3-Star Okada was going to get the win over Swerve, who's injured. Tony, obviously, was going to get the win over Athena. Hangman was obviously going to beat MJF. And I was wrong in the main event. So I got 3 matches wrong, which is not terrible, all things considered. I'm sure Gary in the Discord, if you all know that Gary has the script jokes, I'm sure Gary swept it like he always does. I'm not really sure how he does it. I'm just pretty sure he's a secret wrestling writer. If he is, Gary, would you give Tony my resume, or Paul, or whoever? Would you give them my resume? Anyways, I digress. It has been a wild week in the LS11 universe. And I want to give a little shout out to one of our channel members, one of our LS11 champion members, or Hall of Fame level members, I believe it is, whatever the highest one is, the $20 a month one, which is insane that anyone would spend that kind of money on me. KJ, I want to give a shout out to him. He is now watching through ARW from start to finish. I can't even do that anymore. It is wild. It's especially wild hearing like this version of my voice, which for audio listeners, I'm covering my mouth with my hands. Because that's how the commentary sounded for ARW for the first 3 seasons, or the first 2.5. We jumped over, or I really jumped over to, or no, 3.5, yeah. Because it was season 4 in 2020 when I jumped over to PC for it. I jumped over to PC for ARW when I really started to get into it with LS11 Universe. I brought ARW to PC as well, and that was a wild time to think about. But yeah, wild that anyone's watching through ARW nowadays. ARW is one of those things that I wish I could bring back, and I know that on this channel I never could, and I lack the time to be able to do it anywhere else. I tried on Xander LS11 a year ago in 2024, and I just did not have time, unfortunately. But all of that being said, What else happened this week in wrestling that's worth talking about? Really not much that made like headlines I want to talk about. I got plenty of great questions to get into with you guys. I've got a big universe related topic that's not a question that was brought up in the question thread, but during the premiere of WrestleMania 21 that I want to talk about. I'm probably going to break down some of my decisions about WrestleMania 21, talk about the upcoming retro saga we're about to do, because if you saw at the end of WrestleMania 21, I announced that we are next doing on the Retro Series the road to WrestleMania 13, and what that actually means, because Ray and I discussed it a little bit more behind the scenes after the decision was made and the trailer or in the preview was made, is what we mean by the road is we're actually going to start with WrestleMania 12 and go all the way through WrestleMania 13. We're not going to do like a year of episodes. Like, we're not going to do Raw is War every week. It's not even Raw is War yet at the time. We're not going to do like Retro Raw every week or anything because I can't be asked. I will probably start doing greatest hits matches once a week if I can from here on out, which is a new concept I want to try, where I take a match that's from like a classic Raw or SmackDown or NXT even, Nitro, whatever. A classic match from a point in time that I think is important to the history of LS11 Universe. Like example, I want to do a full segment, Edge's retirement from 2011 segment, to show where, as you can see on the website, Miz cashed in his money in the bank to become World Heavyweight Champion on Edge. That's how Miz is considered a Grand Slam champion in the LS11 universe, but we've never seen it. I mean, like, we want to show all 18 of Cena's world title wins now that he's hit 18 in LS11 universe. We saw number 1 today. We saw number 18 on Saturday. And I want to show all 18, but some of them happened on weekly TV, so I'm not going to be able to do full episodes, but I can do like a full match or a full segment showing where he got the title. And I'll tell you, his 18 titles in LS11 Universe, quite a lot of them are very different from his 17 in real life. I mean, the last 3 have already been seen to be very different. Number 18, he beat Seth Rollins at Breaking Point. Number 17 was him beating AJ Styles in 2021, and we haven't even talked about what number 16 is. Maybe it wasn't AJ Styles in 2017. Maybe it was before then that he was a 16-time world champion. I've got it all figured out. Me and the creative team sat down and talked it all out one night pretty recently. It's all fleshed out and it's all ready to be told, and I will talk about it more over time, and I'll talk about it more as time goes on. I do have a bit of a timer going on with the podcast today, though. It is currently 6:10 p.m. here on Sunday, August the 24th, 2025, and NXT Heatwave starts in approximately 50 minutes, and I am doing live reactions to it, so I've got approximately 50 minutes to get through all of your questions, talk about This Week in Universe, give you some previews, talk about the big topic I want to talk about, which is how I handle historic injuries and what my mindset is, and talk about a few famous ones or infamous ones in some cases, and how I'm handling them, and maybe talk about some things that have been rattling around for WrestleMania for WrestleManias 12 and 13. Ray and I have talked about it a little bit. We've got some exciting stuff. We're really looking forward to it. So let's dive right in with questions. I'm just going to do what I always do, sort it by oldest, start at the bottom, first come, first serve. I'm going to get through all of them. We got 15 questions, it looks like, or at least 15 comments. Couple of multi-questions from people here today. Always exciting. Be sure you leave your comments on the community tab in the thread that I post or over on our Twitter at LS11_universe when that comes. We have plenty of great questions tonight. We're going to get into all of these. Let's do it. Starting with Zach. Zach says, if you can book a match card for WWE with no restrictions, anyone from anywhere, what would it be? Just current wrestlers, no one retired or dead. Okay. No restrictions other than these restrictions. Got it. So, anywhere, current wrestlers, no one retired or dead. All right. So the LS11 universe rules pretty much. I mean, I'm going to book you 5 matches. I'll book you a main event, a women's main event, a women's mid-card match, a men's mid-card match, and a tag team match. How about that? I'll give you 5. I ain't going to do a full, 12-match card here like what I do in LS11 Universe. So I'll tell you, if I got to pick 2 tag teams that I want to see go at it, no restrictions here, I'm going to pick the Motor City Machine Guns because they can still go, and they are still one of my favorite tag teams, if not my favorite tag team of all time. I'm going to give you the Motor City Machine Guns in there on one side of things, and I think I'm going to give you Brodito as the other team because they are quickly becoming one of my favorite parts of AEW. For my women's mid-card match, I'm going to give you, let's see, I'm going to look around, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to give you Masha Slamovich because I really like her, And I'm going to take Bozilla from Stardom. I really like her. I think that'd be a very hard-hitting match. I think it'd be a lot of fun. For my men's mid-card match, I'm going to take a couple of guys that I'm a big fan of here. Thinking about it, talking my way through it, keeping the audio going. I'm going to take Dalton Castle from Ring of Honor, because that's my guy. That's one of my guys, at least. And going up against Dalton Castle, I'm going to say it's got to be someone that can compete with him in that regard. Someone that can be that wild with him. Actually, I've got a better idea for that one. I'm going to say we take Dalton Castle and the Outrunners posing as his new version of the Boys, because they did that on an episode of Collision, and you put them in there with Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and I think instead of Grayson Waller being their stand-in for Big E, who is now considered retired, as far as I'm aware, instead of Big E and instead of Grayson Waller, someone to fill that role for the New Day, I'm going to say, let's see, someone that I think would fit their vibe pretty well. You know what? Just for the fun of it, I'm going to say, because I think he and Dalton Castle would do some funny shit, I'm going to put Chris Danger in there. I want to see Chris Danger and Xavier Woods team up. Why not? It'd be fun. I might give you some bonus matches as we go through here, as I'm getting more and more ideas. You know what? Give me a Big Truck Showdown. Give me Braun Breaker and give me Samoa Joe. You know what? Another one here for you. Give me, let's see. Give me your women's main event is going to be Rhea Ripley and Jamie Hayter. Give me the Triangle of Terror, I think is what they're called. Give me Thekla, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue. And you put them in there, and you give me them up against, let's see. You give me them up against Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, and who would be a good third to go up with them against those two? Because you got Julia and Bliss and Bliss that are kind of on the same. Put Roxanne Perez in there with them. I think that pairs it up. You got Charlotte and Tekla. You got Bliss and Sky Blue, or you got Bliss and Julia, and then you got Sky Blue and Roxanne. I think that's a fun 6-woman tag team matchup. Let's see. What else would be fun? Honestly, if I were going to change it up a little bit, I might actually say, instead of New Day, I think it'd be very fun to have Chris Danger, Tyler Breeze, who is still wrestling on the indies sometimes. He's just part-time now. Chris Danger, Tyler Breeze, Claudio Castagnoli, and Xavier Woods team up. Put him in there with House of Torture. Why not? I think that'd be fun. And you know what? Let's see. What else? I mean, it's main evented by Joe Hendry and John Cena. I'm telling you that now, Zach. That's my big dream match that I know is not going to happen, unfortunately. And that'll also answer one of Bad Dog's questions here in a minute. Joe Hendry, John Cena is the match I want to see most in this retirement tour that I unfortunately think we're just barely going to miss out on getting, because of the timing and because we're wasting time on Logan Paul. And I hate to say it, we wasted time on 2 R-Truth matches. 1 was fine. 2 was a little much. And just, I don't know, man. The first half of the Cena retirement tour is pretty sad to look back at. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Let's see. I'll give you a couple more matches rattling off. I said I'd only do 5, but now I'm getting on a roll here. You got me into it. I'm having fun. Let's see. Who else would I put in there? What other teams? I will say keep Dalton Castle with the Outrunners together, but maybe instead of New Day, how about we put Dalton Castle and the Outrunners in there, and we put them in there against, let's see. I'm thinking through the rosters in my head. I'm thinking maybe you take Dalton Castle and the Outrunners, and you put him in there, and you go with Danhausen, Mr. Iguana, and let's see, who's one more that would be very fitting. Iguanahausen has got to happen. I think it's going to happen in real life when Danhausen goes to WWE inevitably, because I think we all know that's where he's going. And put a straight man in there, give him Hook. Do Hookhausen and Hook Iguanahausen, Iguana Hookhausen, whatever. And there you go. And John Cena, Joe Hendry's your main event. So let's see. Flame Shadow, next question here, asks, what characters do you want to debut but don't know how to? In wrestling in the real world, there's not really many. I always find a way somehow. I don't think there's anyone I haven't figured out a way to debut or haven't figured something out for in the past. Looking at the past, 6 years of doing this. There have been instances where people have gotten released before I could really do anything with them. I don't think we ever actually debuted Taya Valkyrie in NXT before she got released. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember us ever having her show up. I think, we were making plans to bring her in heading into season 3, and then she got released before we could use her, and so we just put her back in TNA, and that's where she ended up going in real life. And now she's kind of just in AEW, kind of doing jack shit. Let's see. Is there anyone else? I mean, there's some ARW ones. Like, I would have loved to have Goro from Mortal Kombat be an ARW, but there's no way to do that. Like, you either only have him with 2 arms, or if someone made a mod of him, his arms would function as 4 arms functioning as 2. And at that point, is he really Goro? The way I tried to make it work was at one point ARW was going to go into Fire Pro, but I could not get the mods for Fire Pro working for the life of me. In fact, I couldn't get Fire Pro working for the life of me once I tried installing mods. It just froze up whenever I'd have someone trying to come to the ring. It was weird. But, yeah, so Goro is the big one for ARW, I guess. There's really no one in the main series, though. I always find a way to debut them if I want to. I like to think, at least. Like, sometimes we take a little while. Like, I took a little bit on Tekla to bring her in. It took me a little while with Harley Cameron to find a way to bring her in. It's mostly been on AEW's side, and I complain about not having a women's division in AEW. But that's my burden to bear, as you know. But yeah, no, I really can't think of any, quite honestly. Bad Dog asks, favorite wrestling game of all time? Second question, what's a dream match you wish you got to see? John Cena, Joe Hendry is the current one. And I'll say Prime Macho Man, Prime Shawn Michaels. I know they had a match on an old episode of Raw when Shawn was still a rocker, but like Heartbreak Kid versus the Macho Man, my God, that would have been awesome in like the 90s. Like when Shawn was really hitting his stride, because Randy was still going in the early 90s, and he was still going pretty well had he not been in WCW. And that's one of those things where I wish I could just rewrite history and say Randy Savage stuck around WWF in the 90s and was there to fight Shawn for like the title and like the main event of WrestleMania 11 or WrestleMania 12 or something, but it's, or like even for the Intercontinental title at 11, but like Randy Savage was in WCW pretty quickly after he left WWF in like what, 92? Let me see. Let me do a quick Google search on this. When did Randy Savage leave WWF for WCW? Let's see here. Let's see. October 1994, after his WWF contract expired. So that would be all the way back to WrestleMania 10? Let's see. Yes, WrestleMania 10 was the last appearance of the Macho Man at WrestleMania. I don't believe he wrestled it. He did wrestle at it against Crush, was his final WrestleMania match. That is very unfortunate. I happen to have a WrestleMania article pulled open because I'm doing my research for WrestleMania 13. But yeah, no. So Randy Savage versus Shawn Michaels would be one of my big ones. And then other dream matches that I wish I could have seen. I'm trying to think of any. God, like before he became controversial, Brock and Batista would have been it. But like, I don't like giving Brock the time of day nowadays. In fact, Brock Batista was supposed to be the WrestleMania 30 match in LS11 Universe for the World Heavyweight title. But then all the stuff with Brock came out, so I just did the Undertaker match and had Brock lose. That's such it. Brock's always just such a. Ugh, I hate that he keeps coming up lately. Anyways, any other matches I can think of off the top of my head? Not really. I'll give you those two. Cena and Hendry for current, Macho Man and Shawn Michaels for retro. Let's see. And favorite wrestling game? Probably 2K14. I've just got a lot of good memories with that one. I really like the character creator on it. It's fun to just make monstrosities on it. And God, when the community creations were still up and running on 2K14. Oh my God, I just had a field day with 2K14. I played 2K14 instead of 2K15. I think I even played 2K14 instead of 2K16, quite honestly. Like, on my old PS3, oh my God, I miss that PS3 so much. And it's not the fault of anyone. Like, my brother, it's my younger brother's PS3. He just let me play on it. But the PS3 fucking crashed. Like, where it doesn't really turn on or load games. And so I can't get my save data off of it. And I wish I could get my save data and the DLC off of it and put it on my current PlayStation 3. Because God, I had all 100 slots filled. I had some created wrestlers in there. God, it'd be so cool. Like I have half a mind to pop on 2K20 or 2K14 at some point, get my younger brother to sign into PlayStation Network on it so I can grab the DLC for 2K14 and get all the DLC. And I have half a mind to do like a members and Patreon exclusive 2K14 universe that is just all CPU stuff. Like, just like the old days of LS11 were on the old channel. I have half a mind for that. That'd be fucking fun, I think. Or make it like a live stream thing instead of putting it behind the paywall. I don't know. It's like what I was thinking about doing with 2K19, just far less convoluted than it's been to fucking mod 2K19. Like, I'll call Sid on the phone here in a couple weeks or something, or next time I go back to my hometown, I'll take my PS3 with him and make him sign it on it or something. But yeah, that's to answer your question. What my favorite wrestling game is 2K14. Let's see. Jeremy Burt asks, what has been the worst game you've done universe mode on 2K on for LS11? 2K20. Next question. And that's not a dig at Jeremy Burt. That's just the easy answer. Moving on. Before that, it would have been 2K15 for the original universe. Though I do have a soft spot for 2K15. Weirdly, I have it on my PC. Maybe we should boot it up one day on stream. Okay, next question is once again back around to Zach, who asks, do you think that this partnership with Chelsea and the Secret Service is how Ethan Page gets called up? Yeah, honestly, I think I do. I'm really liking them as partners. I don't think Ethan's going to drop the North American title to Tavion Heights. I do think that Tyra May Steele is going to beat Chelsea, though. In fact, I think Tyra and Tavion are going to beat Chelsea and Ethan at Heatwave tonight. Seeing as this is going to come out after Heatwave, get ready for this to age poorly. And you're welcome to say it did if I was wrong. Or tell me it aged well and tell me I'm handsome. Tell me you like my bun. I've just learned how to do this. For audio listeners, I have a top knot today instead of my normal like low ponytail or whatever. And you can very much see my roots, but you know, I'll give it another month or so before I bleach it again, probably. Anyways, back on track here. Yeah, I think I'd like to see that as the way Ethan gets called up, because it would get him on TV with someone who's on TV multiple times a week, every week. And Ethan Page should be on TV multiple times a week, every week. Have him win the US title off of Sami Zayn if Sami Zayn wins it, and have him turn it into the Canadian Championship on the main roster. Do it. Why not? Just do it all again on main roster. Okay. Bad Dog's out. Last question here, I believe. Yes, last question from Bad Dog is, who do you hope John Cena faces after Logan Paul? Well, Cena went off on Logan Paul on SmackDown on Friday, listing a bunch of names he would have liked to have seen fight. He would have liked to fight. Dominic Mysterio is a big one. I'd like to see another Seth Rollins match with John Cena. As for new people, Braun Breaker, Jacob Fatu, Gunther when he's back from injury, if he's back in time. I'd love to see Cena and Sammy run it back one more time. The only one-on-one match they've ever had was that Raw Open Challenge, which was a lot of people's first exposure to Sami Zayn. In fact, I think it was Ray's first exposure to Sami Zayn was that match. Ray, the man behind NXT and LS11 Universe, didn't start watching NXT until 2015. I'll tell you that. And that's not a dig at Ray. That's just Ray didn't have the WWE Network at the time. Let's see. What else? Who else? We've probably only realistically got like 5 more Cena matches, and we know Brock's taking one of them, unfortunately. I'd like to see Mello maybe get a shot at Cena. I don't think he will. But yeah, Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, Dominic Mysterio, Jacob Fatu, Gunther, if I had to pick 5. Okay. KJ, who I just talked about at the top of the show, asks 2 questions. 1, what are your 5 favorite RKOs ever? Stomp Reversal doesn't count. KJ read me like a damn book with this question, by the way, and you'll hear it in part 2. This is a tough one, because it's hard to think about them off the top of my head. I will give you a few here, though. My favorite RKO outside of the curb stomp of all time is The Undertaker one at WrestleMania 21. Love it so much that I found a way to make it happen in 2K25. It was literally just, I did the choke slam, I cut before Undertaker went down, I cut, waited till Randy stood back up, went to the RKO, unpaused the recording mid-jump. Easy as that. So the RKO, out of the choke slam. Obviously, you got to get the shooting star press from Evan Bourne, Matt Sydal, and Randy. The pop-up powerbomb RKO to Dolph Ziggler in 2013 or 2014 that I recreated in 2K19 at TLC 2013. Okay, this is where it gets tough. Any of the times where he's flipped through the AA into an RKO. And let's see. When he and Bray would do the double team, where Bray would do the swing for Sister Abigail and throw them to Randy for the RKO. And number 2, Who was your favorite star or stars that were underutilized in real life that you or Ray decided to make into main eventers in universe? DIY doesn't count. Bro knew what I was gonna say and said no cop out answer, ZRC. Fair play. Buddy Murphy is my big one. That one comes to mind immediately. More recently, Brody King. I will give that one. Let's see. Joe Hendry before he blew up in 2024. He won the TNA World Title at the beginning of 2024 in LS11 Universe. Don't forget that, which was at the end of 2023 in real life, I think. That sounds vaguely right. My desk was still on the other side of the room, and it was only over there for like a week. So, let's see. Who else? I mean, like I said, Joe Hendry, I feel like I built up better than... I feel like I built Joe Hendry up really well before he even got his big wave of momentum he got in real life. So that's the big three, really. But Aleister Black's another one. Tegan Knox, that's a big Ray one, I would say. Ludwig Kaiser has been a really good Ray one as of late. Oh, God, who else? Dominic Mysterio is another big one. Nathan Frazier for me. Axiom for me. Yeah, that gives you a good few there. Kevin Plays asks opinions on the ESPN WWE deal. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. I don't know why I felt the need to sing that one. I hope I didn't peak the mic too bad, but we'll see what happens. It's a bunch of bullshit, man. That deal is stupid. I'm not going to be buying ESPN Plus. I don't watch sports. So, yo ho is how I feel about that one. I think it's stupid. Like, big waste of time. If they'd gone to any other streaming service like Paramount, Netflix, I'm just going to get a VPN and watch it on Netflix. Quite simply. Had they gone to any streaming service that had other stuff outside of sports, maybe. But, like, I'm not paying $30 a month for WWE. I don't even pay that for anything else in my life. I pay that for car insurance. I pay $140 a month for car insurance, $205 a month on a car payment. That's it. Like, I will not... That's the highest things. And rent. I pay $500 a month in rent because it's split 3 ways. But anyways, yeah, moving on. Kyle Grubb asks, who do you think should take the championship from Cody Rhodes this time? Drew McIntyre is my immediate answer. That would have been my pick if Drew had won Money in the Bank like I thought he should have, but he was injured. Sami Zayn is another good one. If you're going to turn Cody, which I don't think they're going to. Drew is my number one answer. Jacob Fatu is another one as well. Jacob Fatu, Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre in ascending order there of 3, 2, 1. Maybe I'd swap Sami and Jacob around. Pierre's next question. Pierre's got a wave of questions here today. First question is, so, how was your week, ZRC? Weird. It was a weird week. On the Patreon members intro, I talk about my week of delivery driving, which was insane. Ended up driving and making $180 in one day, which I've never done with delivery driving before. It was kind of bonkers. Just a weird week, I will say. How would you rate the John Cena retirement run so far? And what, if any, changes would you make to it? Not been great so far. I would have had him win the Royal Rumble in place of Jey Uso, because that went fucking nowhere. I would have kept him face, because the John Cena heel turn is good in theory, but I would rather have just gotten a lot of what we're getting now. And it just should have died as pro wrestling's biggest what if John Cena had turned heel. I would have had his WrestleMania match be with Gunther. Possibly. No, I would have kept this WrestleMania match with Cody. And Cena would have won at Mania. I think I would have not had Travis Scott get involved, obviously. Rock wouldn't have gotten involved, obviously. I would have just had Cena and Cody have their match. And not have Cena win it clean, but have, like, an accidental ref bump, an accidental shot with the title, or something happen. Like, Cena thinks about it. He thinks about going heel. The referee tries to take the belt from him. Cena lets go of it, and the belt hits Cody in the head or something. I don't know. I'm overthinking it. But I just would have had Cena being a face, feuding with the top guys. Cody rise back up and beat him at SummerSlam. And I wish had Cena facing people he's never faced before. Like, you can do the Randy match, you can do the CM Punk match, but like, R-Truth didn't need 2 matches, for example. Logan Paul and John Cena didn't need to team up Money in the Bank. Pierre's next question is, with Forbidden Door coming soon, and it's actually just happened now, how did you and Ray come up with the Forbidden War concept, and how would you rate the 2 that you've done? Would you be open to doing Forbidden War 3 for the trilogy? So, this is a multi-part question here. How did we come up with it? We kind of knew when we started season 3 that one day we were gonna want to do it. We wanted to do WWE versus AEW at some point because there were so many big what-if matches like Rollins Omega, like Reigns Moxley, Rhea and Jade, so on and so forth, that we really wanted to do. And we thought, people have been asking us to do Forbidden Door for so long. And if we did that, they would be like, well, put WWE in there. Like, we're throwing a lot of concepts out the window of realism lately. We're sticking a little closer to the real-life rosters now. But let's put that at the end of the year between Survivor Series and Rumble in that kind of dead zone. And we'll give it a shot. Looking back on it, I think, looking at the 2 we've done, I think I like the first one more. The second one felt more like an obligation, because we talked about doing it again, so we did it one more time. The first one just has a lot bigger moments to it for me. You've got the Fatal 4-Way main event where Adam Cole won the World Championship, the John Cena MJF match, which in hindsight, yes, does lead to the rematch the next year and tells MJF's character story for the next 12 months, but also just, and I like their rematch more. I'll gotta give Ray full credit there. But just, it felt a lot less forced the first time around. There was more story beats to it as well. Like, there were actual stories going into a lot of the matches. And there were stories going into, there were stories going into a lot of the matches this time, the second time around as well. But it was kind of just a matter of, like, it was a matter of, like, looking back at it, the first time around just felt more organic. You had the return of CM Punk. You had things like Roman showing up on Dynamite. You had things like, I don't know, the card just also felt better the first time around. The second time around just felt a little more forced. I like the second one, I do. I like the bullshit that was Anarchy in the Arena. I think it was probably good that we, did it the way we did it. I really liked the Cody and Jay stuff. I really liked the Dom and Eddie stuff. I really liked, Cena MJF 2. I liked doing Meat Madness. Like, a lot of it was fun, but also with Ray and I being so disconnected that season, and we were kind of in a rough place friendship-wise at that point as well, from what I remember. We were butting heads creatively a lot at that point as well, because that was when I was getting kind of wishy-washy about whether I would give him SmackDown or not heading into Season 6. And that was completely on me at that point. So, I don't know. Would I be open to doing a Forbidden War 3? I don't know. Maybe one day. But the stars would have to align. If it were just me doing all the shows again like it was the first time around, I would give a more definitive answer. But since it's not, since this is a collaborative effort, I can't give a definitive answer. I'd be open to it if I felt like the timing was right. And Pierre's next question is, your Mount Rushmore of NXT. Let's stretch it to 5 for men and women. Pierre says his are Balor, Cole, DIY, and Mello. And for the women, the 4 horsewomen, Asuka. Though I do want to shout out Paige and Shayna and Rhea, as well as Ember Moon, Sasha Athena, go to WWE theme. Also, she should have dethroned Asuka and ended her undefeated streak. True. Okay, 5 each. I feel like, yeah, those are pretty strong ones there. I'll say Sammy for the men, though, should be on there. Finn is definitely got to be on there. Adam Cole's got to be on there. Gargano more than Ciampa, oddly. Or, actually, I think Ciampa more than Gargano. And, DIY together on it. But I feel like you gotta have someone from the 2.0 era. Mello is not a bad shout. I would consider Breaker on there instead, though. Just because Mello did have that title locked down with both. Mello did hold both the North American and NXT titles. I feel like Braun did more of an impact with NXT, though. Granted, Mello was the champion heading into, the white and gold rebrand. On the women's side, Rhea, Asuka, Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha. I love Becky. Out of the horsewomen, she is my favorite. She did more when she got to main roster to make an impact than she did in NXT. She was kind of just the fourth in NXT, if we're being fair. But I do love Becky. Obviously, she's my favorite out of the four. And I agree. Ember Moon should have been the one to end the streak, not Charlotte. I felt like it was a cop-out way. Especially the fact that they just then put the belt on Ember Moon after Asuka, quote-unquote, got injured and had to vacate it and then just miraculously was fine to go to the main roster a week later. Okay, and Pierre's final question is, what changes would you make to Raw and SmackDown to improve them? Oh, Jesus Christ. Get rid of all the branding everywhere. More matches, less yapping. Main event stars actually competing again. Let's see. I would fucking maybe have titles defended more regularly. It's getting better on Raw and SmackDown, I'll tell you that. It's getting better again. But it's like in a weird stagnant point of like, there was a while where every show was like a solid 7 through 9 out of 10. Now every show's like a solid 4 to 6 out of 10. Some with a lot of times it dipping down to like a 3. But like, yeah, I guess just get rid of a lot of like the branding integration, get rid of like all the celebrity cameos that are going on lately. Get rid of a lot of stuff. Which I know like the celebrities is like a Netflix thing, but it's a weird situation, man. And like I said, just more of the main event stars actually competing on Raw. They're getting a little better about that lately, but it still doesn't feel like it's happening enough. Like Cody was supposed to be this everyman fighting champion, and he fucking wrestled on TV like 7 times across 2024, I think, when he was champion. I think. Like, he wrestled Mello once or twice. He wrestled Shinsuke once, I think. And that's about all I can think of. Okay, and final questions here. Stories Universe asks, are family members, sons and daughters, also on the LS11 blacklist? It depends, right? It's a weird situation going on there. So, like, for example, Brock Lesnar is on the blacklist. If his daughter Maya were to get an NIL contract, I wouldn't hold her father's sins against her. David Benoit, however, who talks every few years when his name is starting to fade away, talks about getting into wrestling and being Chris Benoit Jr. Yeah, I'd stay away from that one. It's complicated. So in some ways, yes, in other ways, no. Fortunately for me, a lot of the people on the blacklist don't have kids in wrestling. Shane's a good example. His dad's on the blacklist. You're not going to see Vince in LS11 Universe modern day. And it's going to be a long time before we do any retro shows that he would be a big part of. We're purposely dancing around WrestleMania's, like, what? 14 through, what? 19, roughly? Where the Mr. McMahon character was a big thing. We've been dancing around those a lot for obvious reasons. I would love to do X7. I would love to try and fix WrestleMania 2000 and stuff like that. But I can't right now. Because I just... Like, I talked about this a little bit in the comments on WrestleMania 21 today as well. Hogan, right? Morbid as it sounds, now that he's gone, I'm more open to doing stuff with him in retro. There is a scrapped, not recorded segment from WrestleMania 21 where JBL was going to try and hijack the show, calling himself a real American hero, and Hulk Hogan was going to come out and beat him up and then pose. It just feels a little too soon to do anything that feels like celebrating a guy that was, and I quote, racist to a point. Right? 6 months from now, I might be more willing to do stuff that has Hogan in it. It's still fresh now with him being gone. With him having passed. But to actually answer your question, yes and no stories. In some cases, yes. Like the Benoit situation. In other cases, I don't hold the sins of the father on the weight of the sons and daughters, right? Like, if, when we had Ric Flair on the blacklist for a little while following the Dark Side of the Ring, and we still really don't use it in the main series because of that, we didn't take Charlotte Flair off screen, for example. Or, I guess, other ones that immediately come to mind. There's not really many more that come to mind. It's a very fortunate situation where that doesn't come up much. But yeah, no, it's a weird, complicated mix. Like, I can't think of many, fortunately. And final question comes from Zach. How do you think WWE would be different if they chose Randy Orton instead of John Cena? Well, I'll tell you. They tried. They tried to choose Randy Orton instead of John Cena. He got injured a bunch. He literally shit the bag on it and was a behavior problem. They tried to choose Randy over Cena, and people didn't get behind Randy as a face, so they turned him back heel. So it wouldn't be different because they just wouldn't have succeeded with Randy as the face of the company. Quite simply, Cena ended up being the better investment, and they saw that. To get the actual answer, Randy was never going to be the face of WWE. Even when he called himself the face of WWE in 2014, all the time. All the time. All the fucking time during the Authority era. My God. I do apologize for the gap of silence. I did need a drink of water there. I was so sick of the Authority. I was there. I was in the weeds. I was there every single week for the Authority. So let me take a quick glance over Spotify, and we will see if anyone has commented. I do have to sign back in because my computer updated again on its own. It forced an auto update. And when it does that, for some fucking reason, it signs me out of everything. I have got myself checked as keep me signed in on everything. And yet, it keeps doing it. And it's getting so irritating having to sign back in to everything. Especially because I use different emails for some things. Like the Patreon is not linked. The Patreon is not linked to the YouTube. Right? Like, it's not. Let's see. We got any comments over on Patreon? Or on Spotify? Doesn't look like we do. Nope, we're good. But yes, no. Double check Apple Podcasts real quick, see if we got any comments over there. And then what I'm going to really talk about here before I wrap up is going to be injuries, because it's such an interesting thing. Oh geez, is it about to make me pull up my iPad? God dang it, is my iPad in here? It actually is. Hold on, this is what I go through to make sure I don't miss any of you guys' questions. This is the shit that I go through as a content creator on the daily lately. Okay, hold on. My iPad's locked because it updated recently, apparently. Okay, resend code to iPad, I guess. Is the code in the room with us? Oh, geez, what is happening? Did I get the code? Can we try again? This is me filling for dead space. There we go. We're finally in. With 15 minutes to spare. And then I'll talk about injuries. Then I gotta go do the outro because I gotta go live. There. Jeez. I forget I have an iPad a lot. Like, I bought that thing for when I was an insurance agent. And, well, you know. You know how it goes. Anyways, all that being said, alright, there's no questions on either of the other platforms. Cool, that's fine. Let's talk about injuries. I talk about this a lot. People were asking me about injuries and stuff heading into, doing the retro shows. Like, I was asked if Cena was still going to have to vacate the title in 2007 due to his torn pec, and I said yes. And so the way I deal with injuries in LS11 universe, with like historical ones, in real life we don't really follow injuries much. There's times where we'll write injuries in the show as like essentially a handicap for ourselves. And so the way I look at it is with historical injuries, if it's something that felt unavoidable because it wasn't caused by anything specific, like Randy dislocating his shoulder in 2015, like Finn's or Finn is a weird one. We'll get to Finn in a minute. Cena tearing his pec in 2007. Things like that. Triple H tearing his quad. Those I consider unavoidable. But then injuries like... So I have to work around them. Injuries like Seth Rollins' knee, Wade Barrett's elbow in 2012, Pac's broken arm, or Pac or Neville's broken leg for WrestleMania 32. I respected that one, though, I think. If they were avoidable because it was just someone in the wrong place at the wrong time, it didn't happen. For example, in LS11 universe, it's canon that Big Show was the director of authority, or the director of operations, damn it, TNA. Big Show was the director of operations, Kane was just the enforcer of the authority. So Big Show was the one feuding with Seth at the end of 2015, so there was no chance in hell Seth would have ever done the sunset flip powerbomb to Big Show. And so Seth wouldn't have torn his knee, his ACL, MCL, meniscus at that point. I did push Seth's injury back to kind of keep it fair, and said that he injured himself right after WrestleMania 32 and missed action until coming up on SummerSlam 2016, so about the same amount of time. So he's gone from pretty much night after WrestleMania 32 until like the draft in 2016 in this case. Since Ambrose had the title already, we had 2 world titles, it was fine. Wade Barrett, for example, I'll go ahead and give you guys the spoiler. Chris Jericho won the 2012 Royal Rumble in the LS11 universe, so there was no need for that Battle Royal to crown the number one contender to CM Punk for WrestleMania 30 or for WrestleMania 28, and so Wade Barrett wouldn't have been in it. So Big Show wouldn't have thrown Dolph Ziggler at him, and Wade Barrett wouldn't have shattered his elbow or whatever happened. So that's kind of how it is. Other than that, I hope you guys have enjoyed this week of action, this week of Universe. Big stuff coming up. Premiering episode of Raw tomorrow. I'll run you through the card for it to end us out here tonight. Be sure, like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. If you're on Patreon or Spotify, leave us a rating, leave us a comment. And as always, let me read you out what's happening on Raw tomorrow. We're going to hear from the Unseen 18, John Cena. Big E's going to talk about the next PLE Cyber Sunday. Axiom defends the Intercontinental title against Austin Theory. The Scapegoats are going to face Miles Bourne and the Hardys. The Becky Lynch U.S. Open Challenge returns. Fatal Influence, the Women's Tag Team Champions, will face Chelsea Green and Stevie Turner in tag team action. We're going to hear from new European champion Joe Hendry. We're going to hear from Jey Uso. And in the main event, it is going to be a 6-way elimination matchup. Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss, Jade Cargill, Thea Hale, Rhea Ripley, and Sol Ruka in a 6-way elimination matchup to crown the number one contender to the Women's World title. When Jade Cargill comes out, act surprised, because I forgot that I wasn't supposed to say that just now. Anyways, that's going to do it. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're a member of Patreon, stick around. You're about to get your bonus outro. Until then, I've been Xander, and that was a podcast.
The king of the universe.